Welcome back to the news at 10. The All Progressives Congress has produced a list of monies it believes are missing in the past years and is asking the Buhari-led administration to recover. The party, in a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, says Nigeria needs every kobo that it can get to move the nation forward and claims no worthy leader will ignore such cases of alleged massive looting. Alhaji Mohammed went further to say, what sort of governance can go on if the billions of naira in a few hands are not recovered? In the first instance, the government needs every kobo of the funds it can muster to bring about the change it has promised Nigerians. Secondly, leaving such hair-raising funds in the hands of the few looters is dangerous because they can use the funds to destabilize any government. End of quote. The party then lists 9 different cases of alleged looting, which include 3.8 trillion naira of the 8.1 trillion naira earned from crude oil between 2012 and 2015, which, according to the APC, is withheld by the NNPC. The party also cites a case of $2.1 billion from excess crude accounts, which the APC alleges has not been accounted for. The APC says the listed missing funds are just the tip of the iceberg of cases it believes exist, mainly from a few sectors of the economy, but more from the oil sector, where cases had been discovered even before the forensic audit, now being undertaken in some key areas. The People's Democratic Party is not finding the All Progressives Congress statement acceptable, describing it as provocative and a display of imaginary figures meant to put the last administration in bad light. A PDP spokesperson, Chief Olisa Metu, said in a statement today that the list of corruption by the last administration is published by the APC demonstrates emptiness and an act of desperation for public approval. The PDP calls on President Muhammadu Buhari and the APC to tread with caution, especially on statements the PDP says are capable of throwing the nation into crisis. The PDP then says instead of the APC engaging in unnecessary playing to the gallery, it advised the APC-led government to get serious with the fight against corruption by investigating and prosecuting corrupt persons while moving on with the demands of governance, especially in fulfilling their numerous campaign promises for which they were voted into office at the center. However, it does appear that the anti-corruption investigation promised the nation has begun in earnest. Over the weekend, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offences Commission clamped down on every wealthy civil servant, taking over 24 properties. The properties located mostly in Abuja and Rivers states have been seized and taken over by the federal government. According to the ICPC, the buildings were seized because they're excessive of the emoluments of the affected officers. And for more on the anti-corruption war, let's join Linda Kigbe, who's standing by with a senior advocate of Nigeria to talk about how to sustain the fight against corruption. Hi, Linda.
You're welcome to Abuja. Now, joining me on the news at 10 is Mr. Adeboyega Awomolo, SAN. You're welcome to the news at 10.
Thank you.
Now, the ICPC in the past week has begun the clampdown on very wealthy civil servants who have properties beyond their income. Now, does this signal the beginning of the fight or the war against corruption by the present administration?
Let me say, first of all, that the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2002 authorized, permits, enables the ICPC to investigate any person, particularly public officers, who lives or who appears to live above his income. So what the ICPC published to the whole world in the last few days is a manifestation of the implementation of that statutory power. If you recall, the three-pronged agenda of President Buhari are security, corruption, and economy. So, for me, the government has started, correctly by first of all appraising the legal framework getting correct advice and, taking a review, holistic review of the corruption war. So I would want to say that the approach of the present administration is in line with the provisions of the law. For instance, last week the president set up a committee, they call it advisory committee of eminent, knowledgeable, learned Nigerians, on the way and manner to approach this issue. It's just like the military war we are fighting with Boko Haram. It's not a one-way traffic. It's not a one-way strategy. Corruption has become so endemic that all of us have to key into it.
So do you think this war on corruption is sustainable?
It's not easy for anybody to be able to tackle corruption in this country without stepping on toes, without creating fights. And that's why I felt sad that people are beginning to say, you are trying to hit up polity. What polity is being heated? What polity? Whose polity? You see, we must look at the thing patriotically as Nigerians. If we must fight corruption in this country, we must be sincere and we must be committed to every aspect of it. I would say that if the commitment we are seeing is to be real, the governments must be ready to fund the institutions that are created. British government spent over 50 million pounds or over 50 million pounds to gather information against Onanefe Bori, and they spent well over 250 million pounds to prosecute all these cases. If you convert 250 million pounds, 100 million pounds into naira, you see it's a lot of money. The federal government must be financially committed to this war, just like they are financially committed to the Boko Haram.
Thanks a lot, Linda. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Extractors Industries Transparency Initiative, NATI, has listed some key areas of the new management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation must address. These include the need for accurate measurements of crude using appropriate metering infrastructure, urgent resolution and review of pricing issuers relaying to expired MOUs, addressing the huge cost of fuel subsidy, and crude swap and products exchange and agreements. Others are also repair of refineries, the issue of oil theft, review of existing fiscal regime in the industry, and automation of record keeping. A statement signed by the Director of Communication, NATI, Ogbonnaya Orji, also applauded the President's decision in appointing the new Group Managing Director, Dr. Emmanuel Kachukwu, and also the establishment of Professor Ishe Sage-led Advisory Committee on Corruption. We're in Kogi State now, where primary school teachers have taken to the street to seek sympathy from the public over their unpaid salaries. They're also asking the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to intervene in the situation, which they say has caused a loss of lives. The teachers under the aegis of the basic education staff of Kogi State are demanding the payment of their salaries by the State Universal Basic Education Board.
This is the Holy Trinity Primary School in Lokoja, and gathered here with their placards are primary school teachers who say they have been forgotten by the State Basic Education Board. With various inscriptions on their placard, they demand the payment of their entitlements. Few hours into the protest, the leader of the group pointed some of the atrocities allegedly committed by the board, insisting that unless all the allowances are paid, they will continue their mass protest.
The national minimum wage, which we have not been paid. This is the fourth year that other cadre of workers are being paid. The leave allowances for the past 5 years, since 2011 to date. Promotion and incremental steps allowances, which has never been paid up till now since 2011. Coupled with all this, there have been series of omission of teachers' names from the payroll of SUBEB by a man who called himself an academician somebody posted from the Federal College of Education AMPA to come and rescue teachers has turned out to be the worst enemies of teachers in Kogi State.
On getting to the suburb office, the gate to the office was locked to prevent them from going in, but they waited, chanting songs. The chairman sent one of the security to call in the leader of the group and the secretary for a meeting while others waited outside the gate. The suburb chairman then told them the board has paid all salaries to basic education teachers in the state with the fund available to them.
We have paid salary of all basic education teachers since I came on board in January this year. The money available to us, we used it to pay the money to reach all basic education teachers in the state. Remember that before I came, there were this issue of non-payment to so many local governments, right? Many local governments were existing. And when I came in January, we took an overview of the percentages that they were paying them and the salary chart they were using to pay. And we found out, like the commissioner told you, briefed you on that press briefing, all right, that it was faulty. They were not using the state's minimum salary chart, which you, all civil servants in Kogi, are using.
Although the Basic Education Board says the teachers' salaries have been paid, the teachers insist nothing like that has happened and they will continue with their protest until all demands are met.
Barely a week after the federal government approved the Treasury's single account at the federal level, the Lagos State government is doing same, as the Governor Akinwumi Ambode has also approved the operation of a single account in the state effective September 1st, 2015. According to a statement issued by the Accountants General of the state, Mrs. Abimbola Umar, the state government took the decision to address the challenges previously faced with the operation of a multiple account system. The government is therefore asking taxpayers to get information on the single account before making payment. In addition, all the affected revenue collecting banks have been mandated to immediately close all existing multiple accounts domiciled in their banks to give room for the single account. And now to the arts. Acrylic painting techniques are different styles of manipulating and working with polymer-based acrylic paints. Acrylics differ from oil paints in that they have shorter drying times and are soluble in water. So for Osazua Osage, an artist who's chosen to embark on a journey expressing his creativity through this medium, it was by no means an easy task. Art Review tonight follows Osazua Osage through in this exhibition titled My Journey in Acrylic.
A great writer once said that a man who dares to waste 1 minute of his time has not yet known the value of life. So, for Osazua Osage, it's time to make good use of it and make every second count. That means exploring new grounds and conquering new territories. That sums up his foray into a new style of painting, captured in the title of his exhibition, My Journey in Acrylic, seen in over 20 images, which tells the story of how he put pen, pencil and paper aside and set it into a new medium, then moved to a more complex terrain, acrylic.
acrylic is a very interesting medium, you know. And I felt, well, let me just have works that will be in acrylic alone. So that whatever you can do in oil, you can do in acrylic too. So that's the basic essence, you know. But I said that the works vary. It cover probably all themes, you know, facets of life and that kind of thing. So acrylic is very interesting medium. So I find it very interesting. So I just said we should have works in acrylic this time around.
Changing lanes doesn't come cheap. It involves over 9 years of intensive practice, a lot of hard work, and probably sweeping the political garment to get a coat of many colors that will see him notice the little things and paint the softer and lighter side of life.
I've gone around. I'm very familiar with him. I've known him since the early 90s. And we've been associates since that time. And he's one of the most respected artists of that generation in the country.
That's not the only thing. He also set aside his signature style, portraiture, which used to be and still is one of his fortes. He's renowned for drawing some fabulous Nigerians, but now all eyes on their lifestyle and what makes them tick.
Look at my works, there are varieties. You are from landscapes to seascapes to human figure, you know, then things you experience, the facet of life, your day-to-day life, things you see and all that. So it's all encompassing. You know, I'm not just a market scene painter or a Mulwe scene painter. You know, I delve into various topics and all that.
A scene in this piece which will find a place in the history of Lagos, the suburb that was a home for street urchins, but time has chased the blues away.
You suddenly see, you always see young boys stand by their parents because of the economic situation in the country. You know, to go and hawk wares and all that, you know. In this case, they finish selling their wares, they're tired, so they rest by roadside, you know. It's just about the reality of time.
Another works which says, people, places, and position. Osazuwa Osaige is one of the award-winning political cartoonists Nigeria has produced.
Most of the colors are warm because we're in Nigeria. The weather is hot here, that kind of thing. So we wear bright colors and all that. And we are used to using bright colors and all that. So that's why I see most of the teams are warm colors. And I'm a colorist. I'm an impressionist, expressionist. I'm a colorist. So I deal in colors basically.
He carved a niche for himself while at the National Concord newspapers in the 1980s. But make no mistakes about it, his cartoons still pop up in the papers, especially at the weekend, and this is not his first exhibition as a painter.
Still ahead on the news at 10, world number one Novak Djokovic and Britain's Andy Murray currently slugging it out on the courts in Montreal for the Rogers Cup men's singles title. We'll have details in sports news. Please join us again.